Welcome to HH28, where we unravel the secrets of self-discovery and matchmaking. We are Hugh and Heather,
two master holistic guides dedicated to helping you navigate the worlds of numerology, astrology, and personality in pursuit of meaningful connections.
Today, we're really diving deep into the number 22, which is your numerology number. And it seems like you've been researching how it affects things like relationships, your career, even spirituality. And we're here to help uncover some fascinating insights with you.
Yeah, it's definitely a powerful number. There's a lot of potential there. And I'm really excited to kind of unpack what it all means for you.
Okay, so let's start with just the basics. Our sources are describing 22 as a, quote, master number. So what makes it so special in numerology?
So what's fascinating is that 22, it kind of combines those energies of the number 2, representing cooperation, intuition, and the number 4. And 4 is all all about practicality, building a solid foundation. And it's this unique blend that gives 22 this master builder title. It suggests this powerful ability to really manifest dreams into reality.
Oh, wow. So it's like having the blueprint AG, the construction crew all in one. I can see why the research mentions strengths, like being visionary and ambitious. But then there's also these potential downsides, like high expectations, maybe a tendency to overwork yourself. So how do those aspects balance out, especially for someone like you who resonates with this 22 energy?
It's that classic great power, great responsibility.
Right.
Like that same ambition that can lead to these incredible achievements. It can also lead to burnout if you're not, managing it mindfully. For example, that drive to excel in your career, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But are you remembering to prioritize downtime, self-care, things like that, to avoid burning out? Recognizing those tendencies in yourself, that's key. It allows you to leverage those strengths, but also mitigate those challenges that might come up.
Yeah, it's like you have all the tools to build this amazing skyscraper, but you got to remember to take breaks.
Right.
You don't want to wear yourself out before it's even finished. I'm also curious about how this plays out in your relationships with others. You've got some information here about how 22 interacts with other numbers in all sorts of relationships. And one that stood out to me was the pairing of 22 and 5, especially in a work environment. It sounds like it could be really exciting, but maybe a tad chaotic.
That's a good point. Because the number 5 really craves change. They thrive on that spontaneity, whereas you as a 22, you seek more structure and stability. It's not about being incompatible, though. It's more about understanding those core needs that each number has. So imagine you're collaborating with a 5 in the workplace. They might thrive in a fast-paced, ever-changing environment like a tech startup or something.
Right.
While you might naturally gravitate toward maybe more established systems or long-term goals.
That makes a lot of sense. And this actually ties in with what one of these articles says about a 22 paired with a 3 in a business partnership. Tons of creativity, but the 22 might need to provide some, gentle guidance to kind of keep things on track. It seems like, you've got this knack for bringing ideas into reality, even if it means reining things in a bit.
Absolutely. Because the playful, expressive energy of a 3, it can be so stimulating for a 22, sparking new ideas, new approaches. However, the 22 might find themselves kind of naturally taking the lead when it comes to organization, making sure deadlines are met, that projects are executed effectively, like a choreographer and a dancer, you know what I mean? You need both that creative vision and those structured steps to create something really amazing.
Oh, I like that. Speaking of amazing, this research suggests that a 22 paired with an 11 or a 33 in any area of life seems especially powerful. What makes those pairings so dynamic?
Well, they're all master numbers. So there's this shared intensity and this potential for really, really profound connection, meaning they understand each other's drive, ambition, and even those potential challenges that we talked about.
Yeah, right.
So imagine the humanitarian impact a 22 and a 33 could make together, or the spiritual depth that a 22 and an 11 might explore as friends. These pairings have the potential to really uplift and inspire each other to do incredible things.
That's amazing. But even with those shared vibrations, communication is still crucial, right? It's not all smooth sailing just because you're both master numbers.
Oh, absolutely. It's about acknowledging those individual needs within a partnership. Even though they're operating on a similar frequency, a 22's focus on practicality, it might clash with an 11's more idealistic nature, or, a 33's all-encompassing compassion might feel overwhelming to a 22 at times. Open and honest communication, that's key to navigating those differences, no matter how in sync those numbers might seem. Individuals aligned with 22 often feel drawn to, explore their spiritual side. And it's not even necessarily about organized religion or anything. It's more about this really deep connection to their inner selves, this yearning for something bigger than themselves. Practices like meditation or getting lost in creative expression, those can be super fulfilling for a 22.
Yeah, that totally tracks. If you're naturally drawn to building and manifesting in the material world, it makes sense that you'd also be drawn to like exploring that deeper meaning, the purpose, like the why behind the how of it all.
Exactly.
And this actually seems to tie into another aspect that your research highlights, which is this like humanitarian side of the number 22. It's not just about personal ambition, right?
No, not at all. While people with a strong 22 influence are often very driven to achieve their own goals, they also have this really deep-seated desire to contribute to something much larger than themselves. You might find yourself drawn to service-oriented careers, or community involvement, maybe getting involved with projects that promote social change. It's about making a positive impact on the world around you.
So it's not just about like building skyscrapers. It's about building a better future for everyone.
Yes.
Like your ambition naturally extends to encompass the well-being of others. And speaking of how your ambition might show up in different areas of your life, 22 interacts with other numbers in love and friendships. And this is where it gets really interesting. So what can you tell us about these connections?
Oh, it definitely adds another layer. Remember how we were talking about 22 seeking balance, especially in relationships?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that plays out in really fascinating ways depending on the other person's numerology. For example, your research mentions that a 22 paired with a 2 in a love connection, it can be incredibly harmonious.
Yes. They both really seem to value those close, supportive connections. But what makes that pairing stand out in particular? Like, what is it about the energy of a 2 that complements a 22 so well?
So the 2 brings this very nurturing and supportive energy to the table, which beautifully complements that ambitious drive of the 22. They understand each other's emotional needs almost instinctively, and they create this really safe space for each other to really thrive, both individually and as a couple.
That sounds lovely. But I imagine even in such a harmonious pairing, there are still challenges that come up, right?
Of course, of course. And your research points to one potential pitfall, which is the 22 might need to be mindful of not letting their ambition overshadow the emotional needs of their partner. The 2 really thrives on connection, affection, And if the 22 gets too caught up in their world of achieving and building, their partner might start to feel a little bit neglected.
It's like you got to remember to water the garden, even when you're busy building the greenhouse.
That's a great analogy.
You need both to really flourish. Speaking of potential challenges, I'm noticing some interesting insights about a 22 paired with an 8, particularly when it comes to friendships. It seems like a little bit of a mixed bag.
Ah, yes, the 22 and the 8. Both are ambitious powerhouses, They're driven to succeed, to make their mark on the world. And this can be a really dynamic, motivating friendship. They can really push each other to reach new heights.
Yeah, like mutual cheerleaders on the road to success. But I feel like there's a but coming. What are some of those potential pitfalls with this pairing?
Well, they both need to be very mindful of their competitive sides. Both 22 and 8 have this natural inclination to lead.
Right.
And if they're not careful, it could lead to power struggles or conflicts of interest. Which isn't to say these friendships are doomed from the start, but open communication, having a foundation of mutual respect, that's vital for them to really thrive.
It's like having 2 captains on a ship.
Yeah.
You really got to establish those clear roles, communicate effectively, or you're headed for mutiny.
Exactly.
Or even, like, imagine 2 CEOs starting a business together. The potential for success is huge, but they really need to be on the same page to avoid getting in their own way. Now, we've talked about love, we've talked about friendship, but your research also looks at how these numerical connections play out in the workplace as well.
And this is really where that practical, organized side of the 22 can shine. Your natural organizers, builders, strategists, it makes sense that you do well in environments where you could put your vision into action and make a tangible difference.
So it's no surprise that your research points to the combo of a 22 and a 4 in the workplace as being a super productive pairing.
Absolutely. This pairing is all about hard work, dedication, creating systems that really stand the test of time. They understand each other's work ethic, they both appreciate that structure, that order, and they complement each other's strengths in these really practical ways.
But even in such a seemingly like compatible pairing, I imagine there's still potential like pitfalls to avoid?
Of course, of course. Both 22 and 4 can get so laser focused on work that they might start to neglect other areas of their lives. Maybe burning the midnight oil a little too often, skipping social events, or just forgetting to take a break.
Workaholics united. But it is a good reminder that even the most ambitious projects won't bring you fulfillment if you're too burnt out to enjoy the fruits of your labor. 22 energy manifests as business and financial matters. This seems like an area where that master builder energy can really pay off, like turning dreams into profitable ventures. But it's not just about individual ambition in the business world, is it?
Right, you're onto something there. In the business world, that 22 energy, it's not just about, individual pursuits. It's also about forging these powerful partnerships. And one pairing that your research highlights is the dynamic duo, a 22 and a 9, especially in like a business context.
It does seem like a match made for like positive change. So what makes this pairing so special?
Well, the 9, with that inherent compassion and desire to serve humanity, it brings this really powerful sense of purpose to the table. And this resonates deeply with your desire to make a positive impact. And then the 22, with that strategic mind, that ability to manifest, they provide the structure and drive to turn those humanitarian visions into reality. So it's more than just, building a business. It's about building a better world.
So it's like a social enterprise powerhouse.
Yeah.
What kind of businesses could you see this pairing excelling in, considering those combined strengths?
Oh, the possibilities are really endless. They could create sustainable businesses that empower local communities or develop innovative technologies to combat environmental challenges, or even establish educational platforms that promote, global understanding, empathy. The key is that their work aligns with those shared values of compassion, service, making a real impact.
It's almost like they've cracked the code for blending profit with purpose, which is incredible. But even with the best of intentions, even with highly compatible numbers, there's always going to be, moments of disagreement, maybe even a little competition. How do these 22 energies play out in those trickier relationship dynamics?
Such an important question, and your research really emphasizes this. Communication is key, perhaps even more so when things get a little tough. Because remember, you, as a 22, you're a natural leader. However, that drive, that determination, it can sometimes even unintentionally overshadow the needs and perspectives of others.
So are you saying there's a chance that 22s might need to watch out for those my way or the highway tendencies?
It's not about being domineering on purpose or anything. It's more about being mindful that, that 22 ambition, it might overshadow empathy at times. And that's where cultivating self-awareness is so important.
Okay, so active listening, being open to compromise, really seeking to understand those different perspectives. These are all essential skills for 22s to develop.
Yes, exactly. Remember, even the most visionary leader, they need to make space for collaboration. Sometimes the best ideas come from the most unexpected places. It's about finding that balance, that master builder energy with a good dose of humility and a willingness to, learn and grow alongside others.
It's like that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Beautifully put.
Seems to really encapsulate it. And those influenced by the number 22, with their ambition and vision, they're playing that long game.
Absolutely.
It's not just building for today, it's building for a lifetime and beyond. Which actually, it leads to a question that if 22 is all about manifesting dreams into reality, what happens when those dreams are right on the verge of becoming tangible? Does that 22 energy help navigate that next phase? Or does something else kind of take over?
Wow, that is fascinating. That's something to really ponder. Perhaps it's that, grounded, methodical nature of the 4 that becomes even more prominent, ensuring those final stages of manifestation are handled with care, precision, or maybe a totally different energy comes into play. Who knows?
Right. It really makes you think maybe it's less about building at that point and more about nurturing and sustaining what's already been created.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be, it speaks to this ever-evolving nature of numerology and how these energies, they interact with and influence us at every stage of life.
Absolutely. And it really underscores how understanding these energies can give us such valuable insights into ourselves, our potential.
It's definitely given us a lot to think about. So for anyone listening who resonates with the energy of a 22, remember, embrace those strengths, be mindful of those potential, challenges, and most importantly, never stop exploring.
Yeah.
This fascinating interplay of numbers and life itself.
Beautifully said. And never underestimate the power of self-awareness and a little numerological insight to light the way forward.
Yes. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the captivating world of numerology. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep embracing all those, fascinating contradictions that make us who we are.